Yeah, like
Great.
real deal.
Great. Guys, Monday. It's a beautiful Monday at that. Thank you for joining us on the Monday Market Monitor. We're going to get started here in about 15 or 20 seconds. Suzanne Reel in the house, property manager extraordinaire, the director of Ally Property Management, her second rodeo on the I Love Seaville network. She looks cooler than the other side of the pillow right now. Suzanne, I am excited for you to be on set with us. And Nikki Chambliss, I think your sixth time? Or fifth time?
Who's counting? I'm just here sometimes.
She is a veteran and a dynamic broadcaster. And Keith Smith, how are you, Keith Smith?
The joke before the preset was if I was doing any better, it'd be illegal. But if I was doing any better, I'd be Jerry.
Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you what, it's good to be back in the seat. It's good to be around you guys. We have a lot we're going to cover today on the Monday Market Monitor presented by Closure Title. Keith, you feeling good?
I'm feeling great. I'm just glad to be sitting back in my comfy little seat that I feel comfortable in. But we have a second sponsor today, and I want to say thank you to Suzanne Reel for sponsoring the show. And Ally Property Management is our second sponsor for Monday Market Monitor, and this is exciting. Today we're going to do a little quick overview for the last week, and then we're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into the rental market. We've been talking about that for the last couple of shows, and Suzanne's going to help us.
One of my businesses, the rental market. I'm excited to chatter about the rental market here in Charlottesville. J-Dubs, we can rock and roll when you're ready. Good Monday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the Monday Market Monitor. It's presented by Closure Title Insurance. Closure Title, guys, making dreams a reality with two offices, one in Charlottesville, one in Stanton. They opened in 2007. They're locally owned and operated, and we're powered today by a brand new sponsor, one of the best in the game, an honest brand, a name you need to work with. Ladies and gentlemen, Suzanne Reel. You will see in a matter of moments, she's the property manager and the director of Ally Property Management. Ally Property Management, the name you need to think of if you need property management, you need some guidance in the rental market, guys. Judah Wickhauer is our director. Judah, if you can go to the studio camera and let's welcome a true cast of characters right here on set on a Monday. Suzanne, Nikki, and Keith. How are you guys?
We're great.
Good.
Good to be
It's
here.
Monday.
It's Monday.
It's Monday.
Market Monitor.
It's a Monday
Yes, it
Market
is.
Monitor.
So your Monday is starting a little tough, I could tell. Is your Monday starting okay?
I mean, I'm going to need more coffee today.
Yeah.
I'm just putting that out there. Yeah, it's going to have to happen. Yeah.
So how can you tell mine is starting a little
Because you
rough?
said it's Monday.
It's Monday.
I mean, if it was a great Monday, you would have been like, if it's any better, I would have been illegal or something. What's he say, Suzanne?
That's right.
Well,
or
I got
maybe
a really
Jerry.
good bike ride in this morning, and I quite haven't cooled down yet. So that's part of the issue right now, trying to get the cool down going on this stuff. But look, hey, I just wanted to take a couple of minutes and reintroduce, or let Suzanne introduce herself, introduce the company, introduce what she does, and we can help. And what I'm hoping to get to in the conversation is we started a little bit on Friday and a little bit on some previous shows about the grant programs that are out there. And Suzanne quoted some quick stats in our pre-production meeting that was pretty interesting. But we want to talk a little bit about that and how we can help either tenants, or you can help either tenants or landlords of who folks might some help from the government, actually. So go ahead, introduce yourself, please.
Yes, well, I'm Suzanne Reel, and our company has been in full throttle since April 1st, 2020, and we're growing rapidly and just having a really great time serving people. Our slogan, Experience Freedom with an Ally, a friend, goes a little bit further in saying that, having a successful rental property requires a lot of time, effort, experience, and knowledge. Let us save you time and give you freedom so that your investment is the best experience for you.
Oh, very nicely done.
Well done.
I like that, Suzanne.
So as you were speaking, I was thinking, and Judah can probably help out with this, but there was this commercial back, I think it was like a hair replacement commercial. So not only am I a friend or a sponsor,
Judah, you can help us with this.
no, I'm also a customer. I'm also a client. So not only we've got this wonderful Suzanne here and Ally on it, and we're trying to talk about that, but I believe in them so much that I'm a client of theirs, and we've got our first rental that we have ran through that, and Suzanne is knocking it out of the ballpark. It's a little difficult for us, right, as Suzanne is experiencing, because I'm so used to being hands-on and to hand it off, but she's taking care of everything. I don't have to do anything, and it's going like, I mean, my God, you found a tenant for us in a couple of days. So tell us a little bit, a deeper dive, what you do, how people can reach out to you.
Be careful here, because everyone's gonna. I know that's why you said we were very, very fortunate.
Very
Set
fortunate.
expectations there. That was smart.
Okay, we were very fortunate. I've just got a big grin. This was a lot of fun on that end.
Is that what you were feeling right there? That's what you were feeling.
Yes, I was.
Oh, come on, let's have some fun here. So tell us how you helped us.
Sure. So we are a full scope company where we once an owner is aligned with our company and we feel as though they are going to be a good fit. And that really is an important piece as well. Then we feel that our values can continue through the company and with seeking a tenant. And so we first evaluate the owner and their feel for the market and how they like to work. And then we go into the investment property and make sure that that's up to code and make sure smoke detectors and all those things and everything is working. We take pictures, we advertise, we meet tenants, and we go from there, launching the new tenant in a property.
Cool. Very nice.
Very seamless. I was just amazed how seamless it was. And always on the job. I got a text from you, which I did not see until this morning, from late last night. So I will take care of that as soon as the show is over. Thank you for reminding us. So, Nikki, let's, what happened in the last 7 days in the market? What do you think?
I mean, I'm just going to read off some numbers here, and then we'll chat about them. How about that? Okay, in the last 7 days, we have 68 new on the market. I do not have a happy face about that. We have 15 back on the market, 7 that have expired. Let's see. We had 11 open houses, 120 that sold, 62 with a price change. So, I mean, it looks like that inventory is just sticking where it's sticking. It moves a little bit here and there, but for the most part, we're just low.
Is 68 new about the usual?
No, it's not, but it's climbing a little bit, and that's kind of what we want to dive a little bit into. But the thing that I tend to watch is what's coming on in pendings, right? So in this little 7-day snapshot, that's what this is. This is the last 7 days. There was 68 homes that came on the market, and 93 went pending, right? So we kind of want to see that balanced a little bit, and that's short of, in my opinion, and that's short of a window. So it's still, it's still a buyer's market at this particular, seller's market. Thank you for correcting me. That's kind of what I was hoping it would go to. But it's still a sell. Thank you, Jerry, for keeping me straight. It's still a seller's market. Very specific locations on that end of it. So, we're starting to see things we talked about last Monday. We had Lake Monticello. I looked at it this morning. We had 30 homes on the market. Ooh, woo, woo.
Yes.
That's huge.
Yeah.
It's going up.
But not normal, though.
No.
So I think that's what you were trying to what was the normal. Normal would be somewhere in the 60 to the 80 numbers in Lake Monticello anyway, as units on the market.
Not 60 to 80 for
well, that's the car
area.
footprint. That's the car footprint.
So how does this? How does the extreme sellers market we've been in for, frankly, a year and a half, how does that impact your business at all?
Great question.
Well, it's a great question. And a lot of times we have desperate tenants leaving those sold homes, searching for another place to live. And so I think there are not as many rental homes available, thus we can charge more. And I think that rents are much higher right now because of the urgency.
And I would expect the rents would continue to go up. Mine are increasing 4.75% each year, and that's on the low end. I have some colleagues in this space that are jacking up rents 6%, 6.5% every year, and they have a list of tenants, a waiting list of tenants that are like, okay, because frankly speaking, they have no other choice. There's so little inventory, they have no other choice but to pay the rates. Is that what you're seeing?
Yes.
So
Yep.
in
Yeah, so
preparation
it's
for
looking
today,
well.
Suzanne, I actually had to take a look at some numbers, and I'm sure that you've done that. So where are we standing now? Let's say, I don't know how far back you went. Did you go back as far as 2019?
No.
Okay,
I
good.
did
So,
not.
but what I'm trying to get at is to paint a picture of what Jerry is talking about is, where were we this time last year? Because this is a question that we get all the time. Are we going up? What's the percent? So Jerry's doing 5%. Some other folks are doing 3%. Some other people are doing 6%.
What's the average?
Thank you. What's the average?
Yeah. Oh, I'm seeing like $200 plus. So I'm thinking not percentages, but
Oh, you're thinking dollars.
$200
Okay.
plus dollars that we can ask more than we did
For the
even
current
last.
tenant, year over year?
No,
That's when a
no,
new tenant
no.
moves in.
New tenant
Okay.
moves in. We
'Cause
up
current
things.
tenant, that would be sticker shock.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
No, we wouldn't do that.
So $200. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've
Yeah.
got a tenant that, let's make sure I understand this, that will make it Marine Corps simple. So if I got a tenant that's moving out today, right, and you move a new tenant in tomorrow or next week or next month or whatever you move it in, it's going up about $200
Yes.
on average across
That's
the
what
board.
we've been able to do
Wow.
with no difficulty.
Suzanne, real. Wow. I'm getting very excited about this. Alley Property Management.
Whoa.
Notice how to generate some income
Time
for their
and
clients.
location.
Oh my gosh.
Time
That's
and location.
substantial. Right?
Yes.
So is that for like a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom? What is?
It's been 2 and 3 bedrooms.
2 and 3 bedrooms, and
Yes.
and that's a common misunderstanding, right? There's really not that big of a difference, or is there, between a 2-bedroom and a 3-bedroom per month?
A lot of things depends on
Sure.
the renovations that
Sure.
have occurred and the location, of course.
Sure. But there's
Yeah.
not like a big jump. There's not like several $100 jump
No.
from a 2-bedroom to a
Not
3-bedroom.
between 2 and 3.
What's a 2-bedroom in the city running for a month?
I have here anywhere, depending on location and renovations, between $1,000 and $1,750.
Okay. And a 3-bedroom?
Between $1,300 and $2,400.
Okay, and here's a question that I have, because this came across my desk a couple weeks ago. The value of a home office and the rental market. Can you put that in perspective for us? If the rental has an office, because a lot of them don't.
Well, and a lot of folks are looking at 3-bedroom units. I've had 2 folks move into a 3-bedroom unit
convert.
knowing that one of those bedrooms is going to be an office. Right. It's extreme. And even what they love more is like an extra bonus room, yes, that is flexible
It's a flex space. Yeah. What do you think,
as
Nikki?
a home office.
I mean, I think what you're saying is right. My rental at the lake, when I was first evaluating the area, I want to say more than a year ago, I was estimating about $1,300, and right now I could get $1,500 for it. I'm not, but I could.
Very nice.
So it becomes this uncomfortable conversation that we probably have to have at some point, is about, so if I'm spending 13, 14, 15, 16, 1700. And I had this conversation over the weekend because, as those who know, I chair an affordable housing nonprofit, and I was trying to have a conversation with a couple of potential buyers for some units. To make a long story short, they didn't understand the difference between having a 30-year mortgage and a fixed price, that your rent or your mortgage payment is fixed, and how rent keeps on going up. They just couldn't comprehend it. So I had to spend some time to explain that to them. But in your world, in your rental world, and I think Jerry was trying to get to this, I'm going to try it a different way. Are you seeing rental units growing, right? So we're talking about an inventory shortfall, both on the buy, both on the rent side. Is there any possibility of it growing? Are you seeing any growth in that sector? Is that making sense?
It does. And I guess all you have to do is look at all the building, too, that's going on. And
Sure.
so I do think that there's growth in that area for new buildings. I don't see it on older structures, though. Not right now. I think we're definitely in a shortage.
So a follow-up question on that is, and we've had this conversation before, we touched a little bit on Friday, I am a landlord, right? I have a tenant that is suffering because of COVID and can't pay the rent. There's options available, right? So you want to talk about that? Because that's what I'm most excited about. Because you're helping some folks make some magic happen.
Right. And
so
we're in the process, and I'm hoping to hear sometime this week of our third grant that we're waiting for the application to be funded. But I've had 3 landlords come to me with that same scenario, and we take over the lease, we backdate so that we are the ones responsible for collecting all of the rent, and then I go through the application process with the VHDA. And we've been really successful as long as the tenants are willing to also share in that application. That's been the most difficult and surprising. They have to do some work. They have to just sign papers. I prepare everything, and yet there's a reluctance, which I don't understand. But once we get over that hurdle, then I take care of all the paperwork and really do everything except all their signatures.
That's a heck of a perk right there. That's a great service.
So if I'm hearing this right, people are coming to you saying, hey, I have a rental piece of property that my tenant is paying, please help us, and you're taking over the lease. So what's your success rate on that?
Wait, so that you become the tenant in that scenario?
No,
Okay.
the landlord. And and the landlord in this particular scenario, the grants for which I am applying, the landlord does the application.
Okay, got it.
But you just have to be active with the tenant.
Well, this is an important point to point out, because this is part of something that I was part of with the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission. When they started this program that you're speaking of, they didn't allow landlords to receive the money. Only the tenants could receive the money. And
the tenants weren't paying the landlord, so they had to shift it around.
No, what was happening was the tenants weren't filling out the paperwork.
Well, the tenants weren't giving the money to the landlord to pay the monthly payment.
That's also true. So what happened was it increased the success. I can tell you when we were controlling it, we gave almost $2 million out on that money. But you have like 100% success rate
so far. Yes.
I mean, that's pretty cool. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Well,
that's cool. But my point is people think they're helpless and think that there is no solutions. This is the point I'm trying to get across here. And there are solutions. There are solutions for the landlord. There are solutions for the tenant to kind of do this. There is a pretty large pot of money, and other than a few paperwork and some hard work on your part, you've been able to help folks out.
Been 100%,
and I just want to highlight that a little bit in the specific details on it. We don't have to go into great details here, but I just want folks to feel comfortable to know that they can reach out to you like, I don't have a tenant paying. Suzanne, help me. So what does that look like?
We can do that.
How does that phone call go?
Yeah, so landlord contacts me and says exactly what you just said, and we meet. They hand me their lease. We reconstruct that lease. We do a lease ledger within our system so that everything is, and usually these landlords have everything sort of handwritten, lease, but we put it all into our system so that it looks good, makes it easier to upload into the grant scenario. I meet with the tenants, and that's the part that's been the most difficult in all 3 scenarios, is the tenant's willingness to then trust me to create this lease grant application.
Well, I'm curious, what, as part of this process, guarantees that the landlord then is for sure using those funds to pay that mortgage, the rent? Is the tenant no longer responsible for that rent when this grant is given?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And everything is just fed into our accounting. It doesn't go to the tenants. And then we give them a nice phone call and say, hey, your rent is covered through October. And I have one set through October, another, the one we're waiting for, will be through December. And so they can sort of rest easy.
And their slate is just wiped clean.
That's right.
So it's important, Nikki, and you brought up a great thing. There's a difference between a grant, which is what you're applying for, and the moratorium.
Yeah. It's a huge difference.
Yes.
And it's a slippery slope, right? Because the moratorium is just that. It's like the forbearance.
It's getting tacked on the back end. You're still responsible. You're just not responsible now. The grant is free and clear.
That's exactly right.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
that's a huge difference we should identify for people.
Absolutely. The caveat is we all have to sign off saying these tenants will not be evicted regardless of what they do until the end of our...
Which is October. So the moratorium is expiring in October.
But the funds are available through December.
And some of them went back retroactive. Is that not correct?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. One I've applied for all the way back to November
Really?
of 2019.
I did not know that either.
Correct.
That's amazing.
2020, yeah.
How do you see the market evolving early next year when some of these grants and these forbearance options are no longer options? I mean, are we going to see, do you think we're
Sort
going
of
to
scary.
see a flood of evictions?
I do.
You do see that?
I do.
Okay.
Right.
So if we see a flood of evictions, which I agree with you, how do you think that's going to impact the housing market? Are we going to see those rentals then being put on the market for sale because of uncertain landlords concerned about the future of their investment?
I hope not.
Yeah, I think they will stay rentals.
As long as we can find other tenants.
Okay.
But I do see in some of these cases that we'll need to get eviction in place because they aren't going out and seeking work.
'Cause she's on the
I don't
front
see
lines.
that. I don't see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anyone's got the pulse of this, it's her and her business.
So I had an interesting conversation. I'll leave names out of a wedding I attended on Friday with a small to medium apartment, actually rental units. They're in single-family detached rental units. And I asked them. I said, I'm sitting next to them, and of course my wife was going, "Really? This is a wedding? You're talking business? You're talking business?" But I asked them. I said, "What is your delinquency rate now versus pre-pandemic?"
Good question.
And I know what it was, but does anybody want to take a guess on what it was?
Oh, gosh.
Tell us.
Double?
It was exactly the same.
Really?
So there is no there has since the beginning, at least with this particular individual, and I love you to backstop it on this, but this particular individual, they have like 40 or 50 units. I actually gave me a card because there was a reason why I gave me a card. I'll talk about it in a minute. But the delinquency rate is exactly the same, roughly 97%.
So what do you attribute that to?
The
grants and the forbearance?
No, I think the tenants are smart enough to know that if they take this moratorium, that they're going to have to pay that back rent back at some point in time. So they're paying their rent. So the delinquency is no different than it was before that. And I did not expect to hear that.
I didn't expect that either.
No.
Is today's tenant a more qualified tenant than ever before? Because I would imagine a lot of the tenants that are renting now are tenants that in most markets would be homeowners, you know, because they have either money in the bank, good credit scores, good jobs. But in this market, because there's no inventory and prices are so sky high, for some reason or another, they can't buy something. So are today's tenants more qualified and deep-pocketed than ever before?
I think it's about the same.
Okay.
Just my perspective and depends again on what they're applying for. But I'm seeing either very qualified, and maybe I would say there's less middle ground. They're either very qualified or really not qualified at all.
Really? Top heavy or bottom heavy? No middle ground. Interesting.
That's it. Yeah, I did not expect to hear that either.
I mean, think about our area. That's kind of how it is a little bit,
No,
right?
right. It's in the housing
It-
market. We see the same thing on
Yes,
the housing market.
exactly.
On both ends of it. Yeah, so I did not expect to hear that. I expected to hear that the delinquency rate was much higher. The vacancy rate is exactly the same.
Are these units like in this area?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah,
Okay,
that's what's
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
he
great.
asked me not to use the name of the company and all this
Totally.
stuff. But I will, twisting it around, Suzanne, I did give you a card because I said, so tell me how you're doing with the grant programs because they have so. And he basically gave up. He gave up. Because the reason he gave up was exactly as you outlined. The tenant wasn't agreeing to help for whatever reason. And I don't think maybe he didn't take the time to explain or whatever, but I gave the card to you and I said, well, I know these are property you own. I know you're self-managing, but hey, here you go. This is Suzanne will take care of you, manage it for you. And I think that's what's happened. And he was like, well, we're just going to, his approach was, we're just going to wait for it to run out and evict them. Evict them.
Question from Peter Price for Suzanne. Suzanne, are there more rentals in the city or Albemarle County?
I would say Albemarle County right
I would
now.
agree with that. I mean, you got a bigger base of inventory,
Yes.
Right.
than the city.
So it's just running concurrent with the sale market, with the properties for sale market. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah. I just, we talk about this on the show all the time. How can we fix this problem, right? We've been going over and over and over, and I'm just not so sure we come up with a better answer other than more, right? And something that we've been talking about for quite some time, Jerry and I, is this missing middle concept, right? And I just read a really super interesting article. I quote Portland a lot and Seattle a lot, but this is how this stuff comes out this way. And they did a rent analysis out there, and what they found out is that they were really able to supply through adding a auxiliary dwelling unit in the back of an existing home, or attaching like an extension to an existing home, and they were really able to get them out there at competitive prices. So, in your world, let's say the city of Charlottesville allows this to happen, that we can actually do this. Do you think that's going to help the rental market?
I think it would.
That was kind of a rhetorical question,
Yeah.
wasn't it? That was a long-winded rhetorical question.
What
Go,
do you think,
Keith.
Nikki? Let's jump
Go,
in.
Keith.
Oh, no, totally. That'll make a huge difference. It'll make a huge difference not only in the rental market, it'll make a huge difference for those property owners. Now their property is now an actual investment property. And I get everybody who owns a home says it's an investment, but I promise you, a lot of them don't treat it like one. And so I'm really hesitant to say when you own a home, it's an investment, because I think it matters how you treat it. So having that AUD makes a huge difference. It's truly an investment.
I'm going to contradict the question, an answer here for a little bit. Yes, I think there will be a moratorium. The moratorium gets lifted. Yes, there will be an eviction increase. I think the backlog is so great, as God forbid, this is a horrible thing, but as people get evicted, folks are going to step directly into that. Many people think because of that, there's going to change the amount of houses that are coming on the market. And I do not see that happening. I do not see that. They're just going to. The rents are increasing so much. Your clients, much like myself, we would just say, okay, thank you very much, and then just bring somebody else into it. I'm not going to put that unit on the market, right? Because the return is too good at this particular point.
This is a great comment that just came in here. And we have a handful of ones that we need to acknowledge. This one is stellar. This is from Gwendolyn Gale Cassidy. In graduate school, I took both the architecture and engineering ECO mod programs from 2012 to 2014. My work involved working with AHIP and LEAP in evaluating and interviewing 60-plus homeowners in their homes in the 10th and Page neighborhood. AHIP has since retrofitted 50-plus homes. Many of the homes sold due to gentrification ending the family legacy of wealth building. Are there other pockets in the city where we can maintain equity building within individual families, most of whom could never buy a home on where their current home rents? Is there local policy that would prevent families from losing generational wealth building, equity building in their homes? That's a great comment. And this is right up our alley. This is certainly right up your alley.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack in that particular question. So I'm going to take it from the policy perspective.
Yeah, that's where we should start.
Yeah. So look, the reality of it is there are policies that are coming in. I mean, this is what this missing middle conversation we've been having a conversation about. But what we're trying, I think, what the listener or the viewer is trying to tie in is if there's a policy that's going to come in here that can help individuals stay in their home. And this is what. And again, I keep on repeating out west, but we talk about this all the time. Whatever comes out west comes over to the East Coast on that end of it. And what we were able to do out there, because I helped partly set this up, is with the auxiliary dwelling units, or this missing middle slide on that, the owner got to stay in the property while they leased out the portion of their lot to a land trust, and the land trust built a home to rent, hired Suzanne to rent it out for an affordable housing. So what happened was we were able, out in Seattle and Portland, they were able to, the existing homeowner was able to stay in. It's a little bit complicated to unpack over a talk show. But what they were able to do is they were able to stay in here. The reason we can't do that here, so just to paint a pretty picture here, person stays in the house, land trust leased a little portion of the property, the land trust builds a home, the person who owns the property gets a portion of the rent payment on that end of it, and we put an affordable housing family in that unit. That's what happens. Here's the problem in Charlottesville and Albemarle. You can't do that unless you can't build an ADU unless you are the owner. So the point is the property owner would have to go through this whole process to do it instead of letting a land trust. Did that make any sense at all?
That made some sense.
Yeah.
Some sense. So
I think a more direct comment would be this, that if you're struggling to afford your house, you can go to City Hall, for example, and they have many options if you're living on a budget. And gentrification is something that undoubtedly is impacting 10th and Page, which is what she's asking about. So someone that is on a fixed budget and they're getting priced out of their neighborhood can go to City Hall and they can work with them on figuring out a schedule of payment where the increase in taxes won't affect them as much. I think that's what she's looking for.
Well, if that's the case, there are existing programs in that.
I think that's what she's looking for.
I thought she was taking it from the price that people are trying to buy her property at an inflated
got it.
price. That's where I thought we were
She
going.
says, she adds, thank you, and her Harvard capstone is the first net positive small home community for the currently homeless. And she did a plug for where she's working. Gwendolyn,
awesome.
excellent work. That is awesome,
Thank
Gwendolyn.
you.
But back to the policy thing, if the city and Albemarle County change the ownership requirement that say a nonprofit can do this, then that changes the dynamics big time. Right now, that owner would have to actually go through this process themselves.
When having that extra ability to have basically that backup, having somebody on your side to help with that would be life-changing. If somebody's already struggling with paying their mortgage, they're probably working a job or two, and trying to figure out this process to get the help can feel a little insurmountable as it is.
You hope
So let's make it easy. No, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Mustache Dan Pennant said you sang happy birthday,
I did.
and you have an amazing voice.
Thank you.
Dan Pennant just wanted you to know that, by the way. Here. Go ahead, Keith.
no, so I'm trying to wrap my brain around that question a little bit more to unpack it, and
I don't think a lot of people know about the tax help that they can get.
tax help. Not only is it tax help, it's utilities help on that end of it, and not to geek out, but if you can set up a way that the existing homeowner can stay in their property, and that there can be a rental unit built on their property that they don't have to build, that they don't have to function, they don't have to manage the tenant, they don't have to do anything like that, and reap some of the benefit from that. Because what happens if they do that, they also get the tax benefit
Right.
from the city. But without that ownership criteria getting changed, it's never going to happen.
Jamie
All right.
Turner, I'm going to get to this question in a matter of moments. This is from Tim Dar for you. Tim Dar has a question directly for you. Jerry, please ask your property management guests where the hottest pockets of rentals are in Charlottesville. Can she identify the most affordable ones and the most popular ones?
Am I supposed to just say the location?
Sure.
So, like Hydraulic
sure.
Road, I mean,
Sure,
we have Solomon Court and we have Barracks West. I think those areas, for right now, in my experience, are the most affordable.
Yeah. Where does the villas in Southern Ridge stack up on that? Old Lynchburg Road. Urban
A
Ring.
little more expensive,
Then Barracks West?
I think so. Yeah,
What's Barracks West entry point?
800,
800 on a two-bedroom.
1 bedroom.
Wow, good night. 800 on
At
a
least
one.
that's
Is that a
that's
studio?
what it. No,
It's a
no.
legit one bedroom.
Yes,
Good night.
it has full washer and dryer, and
Sure. No, but
and,
I'm impressed.
and the gas is paid for. So
Okay, so you're responsible for internet. Are you responsible?
electricity.
And electricity.
right.
And water.
No, that's
Okay.
covered.
800.
So I'm going to ask a question that Jerry's asked me multiple times, Susan. This is going to be a big question. UVA, let's say tomorrow, decides to bring all the second years on campus. What impact does that have on the rental market? This is a talk show, so it's just
Sure,
your opinion.
sure. Well, if it's tomorrow, those of us who already have some students in some housing, that doesn't affect us.
Yeah,
but,
sure.
But yeah, I think there would be some.
So you think that would loosen up inventory as far as rental units would
For
be
other
concerned?
tenants, yes, it would.
Interesting.
For those people who rent to undergraduates.
But not today, though, because
Right.
everybody's already
Today.
signed their leases. As a matter of fact, they signed those leases
I had
last
one
summer.
Well, I had one last night.
Well, you were
You
doing
know?
it for the sake of a talk show.
I was
Yeah.
doing it for the sake of a talk show.
Oh,
So,
no, totally.
next
Right.
year,
Next
year, yeah.
Yes.
whatever it is, but let's say magically all of a sudden UVA says, I want all my second year students on campus, which we think is about a couple thousand, right? Somewhere along those lines. What does that really open up the rental market? And then the follow-up question for you, Nikki, if it opens up the rental market, does it open up the for sale market? Jerry and I are not on the same page on this.
Oh, man.
You want to tell them what page you're on, and I'll tell them what page I'm on?
Yeah, sure.
And then we'll get Nikki's take?
Sure.
All right.
So my page on the rental market, I don't know enough about it to go ahead and speak too much about it, but on the sales side of it, I do not think it's going to make a huge impact. I think what's going to happen, if there's a home somewhere within walking distance of UVA that went from students to first sale, somebody with a pocket full of cash is going to come down and just buy that house. And it's not going to really make a big impact on affordable housing, which is where I was trying to wrap it around.
Yeah, I got that. Okay, Jerry?
I think any additional inventory is going to have an impact on the market. And if you open up 2,000 some units, that's going to have a market. That's
Well, it
gonna
won't
have an
necessarily be 2,000.
impact. No, because some people room together. but
Some
I
are
would
3 and
say-
4 bedrooms.
Yeah, I would say what?
Some five.
Maybe 1,000 units?
I'm about to say half, yeah,
Yeah,
1,000.
1,000 units? I mean, that's a sizable amount of units.
Yeah, sure.
What
So,
do you think, Nikki?
Well,
And Jamie, we'll get to this here in a moment.
I think there are a lot of people who would really love to rent those units. And I think so that'll alleviate some of the pressure, but also there's still a need, right? So I think maybe we'll level out a little bit, but I don't think most of those are gonna go for sale. You've got a handful of owners who will be like, you know what, maybe I'm done, maybe it's time, maybe I'll sell this. But I don't think most homeowners who are having these investment properties are just gonna be like, you know what, I'm done.
well, I don't know, Suzanne, I don't know how much you know, how much of student housing you do on it, but
Very
if you're,
little.
but I know this because I've been involved in it through my daughter when she was living here with her now husband who was in medical school. If you were walking distance, this was only 3 years ago, if you were walking distance from UVA, you were paying $1,000 a bed, a room. So if I got a 4-bedroom house, that's $4,000 a month. You know, that's hard to give up. That's hard rental money to give up because you couldn't get a 4-bedroom house within walking distance from UVA at $4,000 a month, would you?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So a lot of people don't understand the math difference between student housing because they rent it by the room
Yeah.
versus what you do, which is the whole
Graduates.
the whole
Yeah.
house.
That's
We
very
do.
different.
Yes.
Truly.
Gwendolyn says Solomon Court just sold 2-bedroom for $150K. Thank you for that knowledge, Gwendolyn. Jamie has a question for you guys. Do banks currently have products that would allow you to finance an ADU? I would assume a construction loan or cash are the only options, which limits the feasibility of this for some folks. Great comment right there.
So that's directed towards me.
Yeah.
I'm part of a national cohort.
You're gonna have a hard time finding a bank that's gonna finance an
Lending
ADU.
is the huge
Yeah.
struggle.
Yeah.
Why
And
would a bank give money to somebody to build an ADU in their backyard?
so the problem, to go back to the reason why we need to remove the ownership component, what they have found out in places, and that they're doing these in Vermont, they're doing it in Minneapolis and all that stuff, they found that what was happening was the property owner would borrow the money to do it. They weren't in your business. They weren't in my business.
didn't
They
know what
weren't
they
in
were
Nikki's
doing.
business. They ended up getting foreclosed on.
Right.
The foreclosure rate was through the roof. And so what in these other jurisdictions, they pulled that ownership component out and said, okay, Jerry, nonprofit, affordable housing provider, as long as you are a nonprofit affordable housing provider, we'll let you do this. And that's where the difference happened here, and that's when the needle started to get changed.
That's why I've said so much on this show, and I understand your passion for ADUs, but the ADU construction is for wealthy people.
Well,
You're going to need 6 figures minimum to build one.
Cheapest-
You're not going to get a loan from a bank.
150 grand and up.
You're either going to do cash yourself, or you're going to pool the money against the equity you have in your house.
So that's
to build
why.
the ADU.
So that's why these
It's a wealthy person's method.
absolutely, and that's
Yeah.
the reason why these nonprofits were so instrumental in doing that, because we have access to better money, to
Right.
cheaper money,
Cheaper money.
so
Cheaper
forth and
money
so
is
on,
what
and
it's
we
about.
can go ahead and do that, and they end up signing a 10-year, 15-year, 20-year lease on the property, and they go ahead and do it. But you're 100% right. So the big issues with ADUs, and you'll find out, and is that A, it's hard to get money. B, they're super expensive. So from a construction perspective, they're super expensive because you're still building, a bathroom.
You're building a tiny house.
Yeah, building
Yes.
a tiny house. Your
Yeah.
price per square foot is through the roof.
Through the roof.
Through all that stuff. And then the management end of it, why it's so important with the property management, Suzanne, is managing the tenant, managing the process. These folks don't know how to do that.
This question comes in for you. Is Barracks West Section 8?
Can be.
Can be?
It depends on if the owner will accept
And
Section 8.
The follow-up question on that is a Section 8 tenant more difficult than a non-Section 8 tenant?
Sometimes. Not, I can't say overall. I think a lot of times, and I think Keith was almost going to that point where they need some instruction on care and maintenance, just general care and maintenance. So they can be, you got to stay on top of them a little bit more.
Any thoughts?
I
Nikki?
think the Section 8, everyone I speak to, a lot of times they're my realtor friends and associates. They love their Section 8 tenants. They're tenants who have guaranteed money coming in for you. They're happy to be tenants, just like anybody else who's happy to be able to get their foot in the door at any rental right now. And they're people. And you get guaranteed money. Is there a little more paperwork? Yes. And I know nobody loves paperwork.
But it's worth
But a
it.
little more paperwork for
It's worth it.
guaranteed money, I don't see the issue here.
This comment for Keith: if owners sell near UVA, you either do a 1031 exchange, a Starker exchange, or pay recapture the taxes. When selling could be a lot of tax depending on how long they have owned the homes for.
Great comment.
The 1031 exchange
Yes.
is a fantastic resource. I am very concerned, not to get into politics though, I'm very concerned that the Biden administration could eliminate the 1031 exchange, the Starker exchange, because that is something that's being discussed right now.
Well, I don't think they're going to eliminate it. I think they're going to increase it, increase the percentage of what the percentage of tax you need to
so
pay.
you have more tax exposure.
You have most tax
Okay.
exposure on that end of it. And that's why I think that's exactly why, even where it's at right now, so 1031 exchanges, I do a fair number of them. I know Jerry's done a fair number of them. They're
They're amazing.
They're amazing. They're a little complicated.
You've got a time frame though.
You got
the
a
time
very-
frame is really rough right now.
You've got a time frame that you have to recognize another piece of property. You have to get all that process go through. That's the reason why I think if UVA puts these 2,000 units into the market, I don't think they're going to become sales because of that very reason, because they are not primary residences. They are investments where they will be subject to a substantial tax. If I can't find another property to buy to do that, I'm just going to turn it over to Suzanne and say, Suzanne, find me a tenant.
Exactly. Well, and let me ask. 'cause
And again,
some of
it's all
these-
about Suzanne, of course.
Like, what are your guys' experiences with these really close to UVA properties? My limited experience has been that they're not really in the best shape.
Yeah, they're beat up.
Well,
But you have a captive audience that's willing to bypass
Well, we do right now.
conditions. I remember when I was a student at UVA, I was living in a dump, and I had no other choice because I wanted to be within walking distance of the corner.
Yep.
So you overlook the fact that it's not the most, I'm trying to choose my words carefully.
so let me put it at
Not
this.
the most TLC'd home.
So every time I used to go visit my daughter and my now son-in-law, I would bring my truck with tools, and Yona would bring cleaning materials. And we would go and say, hi, guys. I go fix something, and Yona would start cleaning up because it was rough.
Jonathan asked, what's a 1031 exchange, Jerry? A 1031 exchange is when you take one investment property, essentially swap it or trade it for another to defer capital gains tax exposure.
I would suggest you Google that, but you have like a 90-day window to designate property to go ahead and do that. And this is what Nikki was referring to. If you can't find something else, then you potentially are going to have an issue there.
You should also talk to a CPA, please.
Oh, yeah.
Go talk to a CPA so they can help iron out some of those details. More comments coming in for Suzanne. So Suzanne, are you more bullish on Charlottesville or Albemarle County's rental market, and why?
I would say I'm equal, so
Okay.
equal on both. So sorry,
why?
I can't, because I'm having equal experience with both. So
Let's pivot a
It's-
little bit on that. What about the outer counties? Flavanna, Nelson,
There-
Louisa, Greene.
there is a huge shortage of rentals in those areas. We only have maybe 3 or 4 in Fluvanna. I have 1 in Louisa. So there's a real shortage. And when we had the Fluvanna house, it was a 3-bedroom with like a beautiful bonus room out the back. In the first day that I had it out there were like 20 people interested in
Yeah.
it. And when I just decided to have an open house, and I had 25 families show up. The competition was huge. So there's a big shortage. People have their children in those schools, so they want to stay there.
That? How do you navigate? I know how we navigate that in the sales end of it. How do you navigate
It
that?
was difficult.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
And so we narrowed it to 4 applicants after I met everybody. I just stood there and we had them fill out some forms. Even after doing that, we had 4 fully apply, and then it wound up being the best credit score, the best person on paper.
It's numbers, it's credit worthiness and all that stuff.
Can you turn that into like a multiple offer situation? If someone's selling a home, a multiple offer situation for the tenant, for the landlord? And say, give us your best price of what you're willing to pay every month, or does it not work that way?
We didn't do that.
Does that happen?
But not in my experience,
Okay.
but with a stiff competition, it would be no different than the housing market. That would be interesting to pursue
You
that.
had 4 with relatively decent credit scores that were similar on paper. I'm just curious. I mean, and you said, all right, give me what you're willing to pay a month.
I'll follow up question to that, and our chemistry is kicking back in again. Are you allowed to do that? Can you do that? Is that allowed?
I'm not sure, to
That's
be
a great
honest.
question.
I'm not sure. And we were already asking $200, $225 more
Over the previous tenant.
over the previous tenant.
So
So
you're-
that we already listed it at that. Yeah.
I would be real, next time you come on, we need to answer that question, because I know on the
Take
sales
notes.
side of it, how that process and
Why would you do it in rental?
I don't know. I don't know.
I
the
don't know
answer
if
to
there are
that.
any barriers.
I don't know if you. I don't know how you could do that without crossing the fair housing line on that.
I feel like it would be
Especially
really
Tenant just
sticky.
said that. You got to
Yeah.
be careful with fair housing.
Yeah. I would think that would be a very hard thing to manage from a fair housing perspective.
When
on
it's
that.
Especially with
Gwendolyn
property
says legally
management.
that sounds discriminatory.
Yes.
Yeah, I would think that.
does.
I think the only way to do that is you set
Why
a
would
rent.
that be
I think-
discriminatory, though? Gwendolyn, why would that, just out of curiosity, I'm curious, because Gwendolyn, you clearly know what's up from either your studies, your school experience, or something. You know what's going on. Why would that be discriminatory?
Anytime you go outside of numbers, it can be perceived as discriminatory. I didn't get it because I have a Yankee accent, right?
Well, but you're still going with numbers. Give me your highest amount that you're willing to pay a month, and the one that is willing to pay the highest gets the rental.
So what we don't want to do is give bad advice live, so we're going to have to get that actual information out there on that end of it. I've never seen it done in a rental environment. Usually it's the number and the credit score, and then the owner's rep makes a decision.
And actually, in the application process, the rental price is placed into that. So it's not that their credit
Yeah.
score is based on that, but their credit worthiness is based on that and their approval. So if 4 candidates were approved, we'd have to go back and see who could pay
You would have
more
to
money.
rank
So I think
Absolutely.
a way to
Yeah.
unpack
Yes.
this a little bit, is the process, right? The process is very different. When we buy and sell a home, we as a real estate agent, so Nikki's representing the seller, I'm representing the buyer. There's a list price out there. I make an offer to Nikki, and then in that I have my terms and my conditions and all that stuff. That does not happen in the rental environment. The number is the number. You fill out the application. This is more of I'm trying to ask the question, is that's how that process works, right?
Sure does.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I
It's
think that's the
reverse.
difference.
You're
but
offering as opposed to the buyer in this scenario being the offerer, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we're going to seek some legal advice on that. I'm going to reach out to
Absolutely.
Bill Tucker and see what Bill Tucker thinks.
Another
about
thought on
this.
that, though, and I get that it's hard to think maybe the highest number shouldn't always win is not the right mindset. But for me, it's not about getting the highest amount of rent I can squeeze out of a property. That is not the only factor for me.
I would say you are in the minority, though.
Well, I
You're
don't
not
think I'm in the
alone.
minority. I may not be I guess if I'm not the majority, I'm the minority.
Yeah.
I think there are more of me than you would think because truly, do you know what I would like? A long-term,
consistent tenant that pays on
consistent,
time.
great tenant
And takes care
who's
of the
going to take
place.
good care of that
Takes
property.
care of it. That,
But
to me,
Nikki-
But
is
as,
so
as far
important.
as
But Nikki, I'm gonna
factors
push
that were
back.
data,
I'm going to push back.
Okay.
But whatever number you're doing, your ROI, return on investment, is working for you, right?
Absolutely.
So you have said, this is similar to what we have
You said I'm
done.
going to cover my overhead no matter what.
I'm covering my
Yes.
overhead, and I'm going to make this amount of money, and that puts me
Yes.
at this rent. And you're
Absolutely.
comfortable with that, and that's, God bless you, good for you on
Yes.
that.
That's not the norm.
well, but also we're leaving out some other factors. So that credit score, and usually I'm guessing one of your requirements is a certain amount, maybe 3 times the amount in rent
Right.
is what's required for their monthly income. So those are other factors that sometimes people forget about. And oftentimes homes that aren't managed by property management do not always have those qualifiers. It varies. But most property management companies, right, is your qualifier 3 times?
2.8.
2.8? Okay, awesome.
We'll go
See,
to
you got us
2.8.
We'll call
Right.
2.83.
Yeah.
For the sake of
Yeah.
a talk show.
We'll call it
No,
three
no,
times.
that's good to know, though.
Yeah.
Well, and when you think about what some of
appreciate
these
that, Suzanne.
properties rent at, though, if you've got a house that's renting at $3,000 a month in Charlottesville, which is not crazy at all.
3,000 a month is
Right?
very
It's,
normal.
yeah, exactly. So that means that's what you're competing. That means you need to show approximately $9,000 in income a month. And depending on which end of that income structure you're part of in Charlottesville, you know,
Gwendolyn says we have exceptional diversity in our programming on the I Love Seagull Network. Well, thank you very much, Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn, this is for you. Proud right here, Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn, you made the show better today. Thank you very much, ma'am. Kevin Higgins got a question for you. Dude, you're a very popular lady on the show today here. Kevin Higgins says, what is the cost to bring in a new tenant? Painting, cleaning, marketing, and what strategies do you use to keep a person from leaving a rental property? 2 great questions.
Well, I'll go from the end. So the last one is that we try to take good care of them as tenants. And that goes back to something that I said earlier, is that it's also important for us to have owners who do care about their tenants. So we hope that the owner is supportive of that. We take good care of the tenant. Therefore, we retain the tenant. Cost for bringing a tenant in, painting can vary dramatically, and sometimes a property won't need that. But the cost for somebody to use our management company is 50% of the first month's rent. That's out front. We charge a flat fee to $150 to set up everything, set up the accounting, 50% of the first month's rent, and then we're ready to go. And it's 8% after that.
I just went through this myself at the Villas in Southern Ridge was one of my properties, and I did. The tenant left. She was there for 7 years and change, 4 kids, 2 pets. She beat up the space,
Ooh.
but she
Definitely.
was there 7 years and change. She
Okay.
paid on time.
Nice.
She paid cash, and she did not
Lovely.
mind the 4.75% increase every year. And did I mention she paid cash? Okay, all right. Leave it at that.
That's beautiful.
I'm gonna leave it at that. So
Little
when a
bags.
new tenant comes in, and we spent just under $4,000. We put new carpet in, painted everything, new blinds, new garbage disposal. They ripped up the front silver stainless steel in the microwave, so we needed a new one of those. So just under 4,000, and it was 1,280 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2 baths, and a den at the Villas at Southern Ridge.
Hey, that's not
So-
terrible considering that list
thought it
you
was
said at
great.
first. I was like, I thought your number was going to be higher.
So
Yes.
one of my friends said,
Painting alone.
how would you allow someone to have, 2 pets, 4 kids, She stayed for 7 years.
Yeah.
She paid her rent
Paid
on
on
Easy.
time.
Yeah, she paid
Yes.
her rent on time.
And you
She
said
took care of
thank
the
you.
place, And I said thank you.
And you're
Yeah.
factoring that in mentally over those 7 years. You know when she
Right.
moves out, you're going to need to change the carpet.
Right.
So-
That's
Yeah.
right. It's normal.
Without question.
Cost of doing business, it works.
So I want to give a shout out to Suzanne, excuse me. So everybody who watches the shows know that I'm a recovering developer and builder. I have a pretty long list of subcontractors. And there was a little bit back and forth on painting our unit and so forth and so on. And I said, no, I got it. I'll reach out to my guy, And then Mrs. Smith said, this is what we're paying Suzanne to do. And she came in and got it done for $1,000 cheaper than I could get it done. So she organized everything, found the painter, found all the folks to get it done, got in there, got it done.
So you were the GC of that project, essentially. Yeah.
guess.
And for me to let that go was hard, and she knows that. I was like, oh, okay. But so the reason the shout I wanted to give to you is that you're bringing the full package to the table, the full service to the table. That I didn't have to worry about anything. All I needed to do was say, please help me, and you got it covered. Thank you.
Grayson asked this question. Suzanne, would you suggest carpet or hardwood for tenants and rental properties?
Hardwood is definitely.
How about LVT?
Oh, definitely. Yes.
I love the LVT. I mean,
Yeah.
you can leave a glass of water, spill it on the LVT, and it stays there. And it's like
Yes.
literally the same puddle
Yeah.
when it spilled the first time. Luxury vinyl tile.
That's the way to go.
Yes.
And it basically looks like hardwood.
It looks like hardwood. You can get it in and out. It's 100% waterproof.
Animals' claws won't scrape it I mean,
Right.
LVT is the way to go.
Easy to put down. You're not sanding. You can take a 1,000 square foot unit and you can flip it in 1 to 2 days with LVT versus oak flooring. It would take 1 to 2 weeks.
Oh, man.
Put
Right.
it down, sand it, poly it. So you can turn it over pretty darn quick. And depending on what you have on the floor, you can actually lay it on top of what's existing. Not carpet, but if you have like vinyl, the old sheet vinyl floor, you just lay it right on top of it. It's great stuff.
You like LVT?
I do. I love it. Yeah.
Is that what you have?
So much easier.
So no, it is not. But also part of setting up my first tenant was that instead of redoing some of the floors, my tenant has pets. And so we worked out a win-win and had a balance there.
How about commercial, Suzanne? Do you do anything commercial-wise?
We do not.
How come?
Not yet. Just not yet.
Is
We
it
didn't
a more
think.
complicated beast?
I think
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a lot of different training for me and the company. And
Yeah.
so since we're still at 15, 16 months out of the gate, but I'm not saying we're not going to do it.
Cool.
Yeah,
16 months out of the gates. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Congratulations.
And you're rocking the world. Thank
How
you
many,
so much.
how many clients do you have? Can I ask that?
Well, we have 53 units we're
That's
managing
legit.
right now.
53 units under management?
Yes.
So what's your day look like? If you wake up in the morning, when you're not doing a talk show here, let's say tomorrow on a Tuesday morning, you wake up, what's a normal Tuesday morning?
She doesn't
look
know
like?
she's a guest tomorrow morning.
I know you're on tomorrow's show. Yeah. Did you realize that you've done such a hell of a job today? You're on tomorrow.
Sweet.
You got a routine spot on the network.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what's a normal
Well,
weekday look like?
we're still getting out of the craze of the summer of just getting tenants for everything, but we're almost down to no vacancies right now. And so that's what I've been doing. At the end of July, beginning of August, we had 12 flips, and it's really just me right now.
And by flip, she means one tenant saying, no, I'm not going to renew, and a new tenant coming into the space.
That is exactly right. And it was Saturday, Sunday, weekend craze.
So that weekend one must have been bananas for you.
It was, and I still feel like we're recovering. You know, because when a new tenant moves in, you still have about 6 weeks of them, contacting you every other day. This isn't working right, or we need this, or something like that. But we try
Suzanne-
to take lots of care.
Suzanne's like the little Energizer bunny. She's always moving around, always moving. And Jerry's known he gets 5:30 in the morning texts from me. Thank you for working on the weekend, solving some of our issues for our tenant to get in there. But you're on the spot. You're always there. You answer the phone. You answer the text. You can't ask any more than that. And you're a problem solver and you're a relationship builder, which is what's super important for this business, either in the sales side or the tenant or the lease side of things. You've got to be relationship building. And what I've heard through this whole show, it's about the tenant. It's about the tenant. It's about taking care of the tenant. And if you take care of the tenant, the landlord will be taken care of. Does that sound about right?
Absolutely.
We got some questions coming in about small homes. I know that's a discussion that you like.
Tiny homes.
He loves the tiny home discussion. I'm putting that on the feed. This one coming in as well. Do you think that the new condos coming on market, or the new apartments coming on market, are going to impact the local tenant space, and how?
So which apartments are we referring to?
They just said new apartments here. Yeah, which apartments are you referring to? If you could offer more perspective.
So maybe it's the one that's in Forest Lakes. That could be that could be it. I will tell you, the Brook Hill. Is it
Yep,
Brook Hill?
Brook Hill.
Brook Hill apartments all filled up right away. I know that for a fact. There's some new apartments just came in Zion's apartment buildings just came in on Zion's Crossroads a couple of years ago. Those all filled up pretty rapidly. So I just don't think it. I think the need is so great that it'd be really hard for us to outbuild it
I agree.
at this point.
Yeah.
We're so under inventory. Any recommendations where to get LBT?
Yeah. So. To be honest with you, there's a ton of great contractors out there that you can call. Usually how we do it is we go to Home Depot or Lowe's.
Yeah,
and
I go to
stuff.
Lowe's.
I put it in myself.
They both have a military discount, just
Yeah,
veteran
5%
discount, just
military
saying.
discount.
Well, Lowe's is 10, right?
Something like that, yeah.
You
So
sign up,
Lowe's-
it's set up to go.
Lowe's, if you get a Lowe's credit card, and that was a good question, if you get a Lowe's credit card, you get 5% off for using the credit card at Lowe's, and then you get 5% off
Being a vet.
military
Being a vet.
discount. So
Yeah.
10% off just off the top.
Yeah. It is not.
More Fashions is also another good one.
Yeah, so if you want to put it in yourself, I'd probably reach out to Lowe's or Home Depot. If you want to put it in, Floor Fashion, Sarah
Sand, I was going to say. yes.
is who does the work for us for the Land Trust. They do some great work. But if you want to do it yourself, that's what. But it's really not that difficult to install, folks. It's really not.
Gwendolyn has this comment. She wants to take you to lunch.
Ooh,
Yeah, she says literally, look, may I take you to lunch?
I'm in. I'm in. Mrs. Smith, it's okay.
Wants to take you to lunch. She's
I'm in.
passionate about
I'm in.
affordable housing.
Send me a direct message, and I will set up a lunch.
You're tagged in the feed. She's passionate about affordable housing
Sure.
and tiny homes.
Sure. More to do it. I'm part of a national cohort on that. We'll talk until we're both blue in the face.
It would be a fascinating lunch for you, Gwendolyn. I think you would
Yeah.
very much enjoy it with Keith. Rosemary Postel likes the show. She's watching. Bob Reeder, hello and welcome to the broadcast. Nikki Chambers, what is on your mind over here?
I thought there was a question about tiny homes going on, and I was curious where that was going to go.
That's Gwendolyn's question.
Awesome.
Have you guys, what's the impact of the tiny home, small homes it will have in this area?
Well, so that's what an ADU is, auxiliary dwelling unit is. It's technically a tiny home. So tiny homes are there's it's kind of like affordable housing, right? There's different definitions, right? So some people will say a tiny home is less than 200 square feet. Some people, a tiny home will say it's less than 600 square feet. Let's call it from 0 to 600, right? Some of them a little bit more than that. Some is less than that. The theory, and it works. The problem is what you aptly noted. The cost to build a tiny home. So the cost to build a 400, 600, 800 square foot home versus a 1,200 square foot home is not that much
It's
different.
basically the same.
It's not that much different.
Yeah.
You're still putting in bathrooms. You're still putting
Still need
heating.
appliances.
You still need appliances. You still need heating and cooling and
And
all
one
that
of the
stuff.
issues you have is there's not many contractors that are willing to build tiny homes or
No,
have the skill set to build tiny
no.
homes.
But I will tell you where we're landing on these in this national cohort, because this is one of the things that we're working on, is pretty much manufactured homes. That's the way to go.
You love those.
I love them, particularly in this environment. Now, it has a ton of struggles with it.
And particularly in this environment, he means pinch supply chains and not enough subcontractors to finish contracting jobs. The home comes to you essentially finished in a lot of ways.
That's exactly
Yes.
right. So in this inventory subcontractor thing, so it's four corners, a top, a bottom, and it gets dropped on the site. You put a foundation on the job, on the site, you run your utilities to it.
There's still a stigma with the
Well,
The pre-mod homes.
Well, I don't know that it's the stigma so much
disagree
with
with that.
manufactured homes as much as it is the comp value. So that's the challenge that I run into when I'm talking to buyers or agents, is that it's just not going to rise in value like a modular or a stick-built. Because modulars in the stick-built home category when it comes to being able to find value.
so thank you for doing that. People, when you say manufactured homes or modular homes, they automatically think the old trailer, like the trailer park trailers. That couldn't be further from the truth.
That was what I meant by stigma.
So
Yeah.
my personal home is a modular home. It's 8 boxes. It was shipped down from Pennsylvania. And just think about that. They have to build them in such a way that they can run down the road. And I got them to the drywall, and I've used my own finished trim crews, my own painting crews, my own so forth and so on to finish it. The struggle with them is if you take something in Belmont, how am I going to get it in the back of a house? That's the struggle, right? And so what happens with that is usually the crane will lift it over the top of a house. Well, now I got to move utilities. I got to move all this stuff. It becomes a little thing. So the two things that they're looking at is these modulars. The other one, which actually our friend Elon Musk is part of, they are panelized. They come in panels. Now it's much easier to build them. In other words, they'll have a left, a right, a front, rear, left, right, a little roof structure on it, and it gets put together pretty darn quick. The only way to do it is to use the manufacturing capabilities to keep the prices down.
What do you think, Nikki?
I love it. I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of alternative housing, period. The challenge that I feel like I run into a ton is that our codes are kind of ancient and don't keep up with our technology and our ability to create and innovate.
So we just
I could be wrong on
so
that.
let's paint the picture. Let's go back to the policy problem for Charlottesville and Albemarle for the moment on that. So we've just, for the sake of a talk show, we've just figured out how to build a 2-bedroom, 800 square foot auxiliary dwelling unit, tiny home that you can put in the back of Belmont. The problem is you can't do it.
Yeah.
And the reason you can't do it is back to this ownership component, right? Then Jerry, who's the owner of that, has to do this all himself, or Mr. and Mrs. Miller. Mr. and Mrs. Miller have to do the development, have to go get the unit put together, have to get all the utilities going in through all this stuff, take care of the property management, and Jerry's just going to go, this is way too much work, too much money. I'll sell it for $500,000, right, and move on. That's the reality of what's happening out there. And if you can change that to do that so that a land trust or a nonprofit can do that, and then we can go over to Suzanne and say, Suzanne, find me an affordable housing tenant, manage this and take care of this, that's the path forward. And that's what's working in these other jurisdictions, for what it's worth.
Are you more for the landlord game? Are you more in favor, I guess bullish is the right word, for landlords that have rentals in condoed buildings or condo complexes for standalone homes, like a single-family detached home?
Either is fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is
really
there one more difficult for the landlord to manage?
Single dwelling.
Yeah, just because
is
they're
more-
responsible for everything.
So why
That's
is it
right.
a benefit to have it in a condo? So if I have a 2-bedroom condo unit versus a 2-bedroom townhome, am I hearing this right? It's easier for you to manage the condo unit. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think more is taken care of with the
That's
HOA.
exactly right. So the HOA
Yes.
takes care of everything. You don't have to worry about the roof. You don't have to worry about the 4 walls. You just have to worry about what's inside.
Inside,
So
yes.
it's important for folks to understand that's the major difference
Correct.
between what they call a fee simple home, right, where you have to take care of the roof and all this fun stuff, versus a condo where somebody else takes care of the elevator, somebody takes care of the roof, if the roof leaks and all that great stuff. All you take
the
care
walkways
of is the
and-
paint.
yes.
Gwendolyn, you are sharing so much awesome content on this. I sent you a Facebook friend request. So after the show, if you could
Awesome.
accept that, you'll see all the content that Gwendolyn's tagged us in.
Awesome.
Gwendolyn, you made us better today.
I'm looking for that lunch.
You have a lunch with Gwendolyn, and I think she's going to very much impress you with her knowledge of
I've already
tiny
done.
homes, nonprofits, zoning, and the potential for all of them used the right
We're
way.
looking for some board members, Gwendolyn.
Ooh.
Nice.
Sounds like a fit.
That will be a recruitment lunch, so that you know.
Get ready. All right, guys, let's get some final words
All
out
right.
there. Nikki Chambliss, you want to
Yes.
start? Anywhere you want to go here?
Oh gosh, no, I would just really love to see more progress made for being able to have an ADU, being able to have tiny homes. It's just one of those things, I don't think people know enough about what can be and what's stopping us, and I think if we can do that and get past what's stopping us, it would be amazing.
Well said.
Mm-hmm.
Suzanne?
Happy to be here on the show again, and
great.
appreciate. Oh, you're sweet.
No,
Thank
seriously,
you.
you're great.
Look at that
Thank you.
smile.
And
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, we're here for those landlords who are struggling with this grant process. Be happy to help folks. And
Thank you for your wrap up on that, because that was one of the things that I really wanted to make sure we get out there, that if you are a tenant, right, and need some help, there are options out there. Please reach
Absolutely.
out. Don't let this moratorium pass without solving that problem. There is grant money out there. There's a substantial amount of grant money out there, and you've been successful in getting it. If you are a landlord, and
Dude, she wants to be on the board.
cool.
She literally said, sign me up.
Cool.
I'm not kidding.
Now the question is,
Whoa.
no, I believe which one?
Which board do you want to be on?
That's the question. We'll have to figure that out at lunch.
Figure that out over lunch. You just got somebody through the door
Great.
signing up for one of your board
There
seats.
you go.
Social
So
media when used for the positive instead of a divisive social media. That's what we're doing here. It's great.
I think we're successful at it. And the landlord, there are options out there to help. Please reach out. If you're a landlord and you can't manage it, reach out to Suzanne. Suzanne will help you do that.
Dan says, great show today.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. We had great chemistry today. So the Monday Market Monitor is presented by Closure Title. They have 2 offices, Charlottesville and Stanton. They opened in 2007 with an emphasis on an experienced lending, title insurance, settlement services, and realtor interaction. They're locally owned and operated. It's powered by none other than Allied Property Management, the fantastic firm led by this fabulous businesswoman on set right here. Allied Property Management is going to help you with the paperwork. They have success with getting tenants quickly into to rentals that are available, and she is very quick to respond on this right here. Is that fair?
very fair.
Suzanne, thanking you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you. Always great to be here.
Keith Smith.
Jerry Miller,
The
thank you
Monday
for
Market Monitor.
thank you for being back, ladies. Thank you for joining us, and we're looking forward to next Monday. We've got a couple exciting Mondays stacked up, but we'll share that later on in the week.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be good.
I Love Seville show, guys, is up in an hour. Thank you for joining us. Have a good morning. Take care. Hey, great.
Oh, sweet. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thanks.